Hello, hello. Welcome to day 11 of 30 Days of Essential Oils. My name is Tammy Davis. I'm your mentor and guide and your neighborhood alchemist. Anyway, so I appreciate you being here, whether you've been with me this entire time or if you're just tuning in. This is my life that I'm sharing with you here. I mean, really, I have been working with oils now for over 30 years. I'm internationally certified as a master clinical aromatherapist. I have a background in pharmacology, the science of nutrition, and that means is how the body actually breaks it down and utilizes nutrients, all nutrients at the cellular level. I do also have extensively studied the epigenome as well as plant constituents and their relation to human health and drug development. And that's really what all this comes to you. I see things a little bit differently in the sense that the human body is no longer what it used to be 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. It's evolved. It has evolved from day one. We just can tell. That's what the Human Genome Project was all about. They've been able to go back and identify imprints, adaptations. There's been 64 significant changes that have occurred to the human genome throughout our evolution, the biggest one being to the immune system. And so through all of these changes that occur, it alters the way the body is responding to the things that we're talking about with these old world teachings. What's more is we've included into our life a lot of freaking chemicals. And so the pairing of old world teachings as our ancestors understood these things to work to today's human body is not a safe option. And this is where it comes into with medications. We really want to make sure that we understand how the body is reacting to the medications, and how we pair them for optimal results, because ultimately what we're experiencing is adverse reactions, which could be a flare-up, extra pain, allergy type reactions, rashes, so forth, headaches, or it could be an additive effect where, as I mentioned in the last video, you kind of fall asleep in your soup. And then there's the silent ones. And those are the ones that I'm really very concerned about, because there can be changes to the epigenome that occur that don't have any external experience just yet. And this is what I really want to teach our children. So that's really why I'm talking to you, because I have this message for our children. And it's a very important one, that just the way we are approaching health at this point, so mechanized, is ineffective. And what I'm proposing with the oils is the inclusion of them in a safe way, that in a safely personalized way. Now I do try to help, creating like the safe list of oils and still being able to personalize it enough to where you kind of identifying how the oils are going to work and which ones might be suitable for you. It's extraordinarily important. Now today's oil is Niaouli, and it's an interesting one. And sometimes people will parallel it to tea tree, but it doesn't have the same impact on the body as tea tree. In many respects, it is yet another endocrine tonic, kind of like elemi, except that it has different constituents in it, obviously. But it's very interesting. It's like a cross between rosemary, verbenone, and elemi, the way the constituents are kind of lined up. Because, and again, the constituents, although we recognize the fact that they have a particular pathway through the body, a great example is like CBD. We know how that works in the body. And we want to say that CBD is doing all these really, really great things, but it also contains beta-caryophyllene. I should say cannabis also contains beta-caryophyllene, and so do other plants. And so is it just the single constituent that's having this impact on the body, or is it the synergy that's having this impact on the body? I'm voting for synergy, because that's the one thing science is trying to replicate right now, and they can't seem to figure it out. They're doing their best that they can to begin to pair what they have identified as synergistic components, but it's not working because they're pulling it or they're replicating it in labs, and they're trying to pair it when they didn't originate together. It's the origination of the chemicals together that create the ultimate synergy that we're talking about here. So in the case of Niaouli, like I said, it does have crossover constituents between. It's very similar between elemi and rosemary, verbenone, but it's actually a really cool oil. But I wouldn't recommend it for children at this point, because, as I mentioned, it is an endocrine tonic. Their hormonal system is being impacted as it is. But once girls reach, and for that matter, because this is an endocrine tonic, it's not bad for boys either. But once they reach the stages of puberty, then you want to go ahead and start potentially introducing this oil. Although you don't want to use it if it's got, if you have any kind of sleep medications, anything that's a central nervous system depressant, CNS depressant, because of the constituents in this oil. And that's something that I'll talk further on in the blog. In the meantime, though, I have used actually Niaouli for conditions like PCOS. It's also very good for the mind. It's very good for the mind, rejuvenating for the mind. But there again, it's primarily, I really like it as an endocrine tonic. Because of the way it works with the immune system. Oh, I just remembered something I forgot to mention in the last video. So if you haven't watched Hinoki, then go back and watch it, because Hinoki is an immune stimulant, and that's the last thing you want to use with autoimmune disorders. Just saying. So I'm going to put that in the box. That's in the description box. But just in case you haven't watched it, or you're going to watch it, or you didn't read the description box, I'm saying it here. And if you've already watched it, then thank you for watching that. And there's a little bit of information for you as well. So yeah, I just made me stop and think about that, because endocrine tonic actually is going to have an impact on the, what am I trying to say? On the immune system. Another reason to use Niaouli is actually it's very beneficial for helping to stabilize the body after radiation and chemotherapy. Not chemotherapy, sorry, radiation treatment. Especially if you've had radiation treatment and it's affected your skin. But it's really helpful for helping to stabilize, again, because it is a hormonal tonic, and it's hormones that are required for tissue repair. Now, I wouldn't just use Niaouli straight up. I would probably pair it with something like helichrysum. And if you have had radiation, would be one, and probably Greenland moss as well. So those are some really good ways to use Niaouli. It's very beneficial for those reasons. But if you are an adult not taking medications, or if you're coming into puberty, just introducing Niaouli into your day on an occasional basis. I'm all about changing things up. That's part of the reason why I call myself an alchemist. But really kind of, introducing it from time to time, just to kind of help tone your hormonal system, kind of like working out, right? And but that said, if you have been going through radiation therapy and you have damaged skin, you could also use it. You could put it directly on the skin, which will help benefit tissue regeneration, help the immune system. But it also helps to, it's very good for the mind. Very good for helping support nitric oxide synthase and immune and brain function. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. I noticed that I have been getting kind of windy, kind of lengthy with some of these videos, and I do apologize, but I also appreciate you watching. And before I forget, you're invited to sign up for my newsletter, because in those newsletters I am doing what I consider to be an exclusive write-up on how to pair nutrient-rich foods with essential oils for the optimal result. All right. Again, just know I really appreciate you. And if there's anything else I forgot on Niaouli, it'll definitely go on the blog. But I don't think it was anything like Hinoki. All right. Thanks. Bye.